The 803rd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code MMA SGPN to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits.
Heidi Ho DeGenerinos, welcome to episode 803 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This one is going out to one of our friends on the old YouTube, Todd Schlegel, who commented, "Thanks, you ass clowns," which I will assume is a compliment, calling us ass clowns. So
for what? What was it?
It was before UFC 314 main card preview. So
yeah, I mean, I hit every single fight on that card, so you're welcome, I guess.
It was before he watched it. He must have known it was going to be a good one. So this goes out to you. Thank you for calling us ass clowns. I assume that's a compliment. I'm one of your hosts, the ass grinder, Jeff Fox. That would be Danny Gumby-Reeland, who just casually dropped in the fact that he hit every fight. And you hit all of your bonus plays for UFC as well. So
I was actually on I was on VSiN with the bosses on Friday. Gave away 4 picks. I said Dom Reyes, Gian Silva inside the distance, Paddy Pimblett inside the distance, and Volkanovski decision.
Nice. Look at you. Raise for Gumby. People will be happy. We talked about UFC at the starting before we talked about PFL. How did PFL week 2 go? We haven't discussed that yet. Half the fights fell through because
PFL, I have yet to tally it all because so much fell through. But I know we hit a plus 300 underdog in Mando Gutierrez, which I took a ton of heat for online. People were real mad that I picked Mando Gutierrez over Nuzzi. So shout out to Mando Gutierrez for just jumping on the back and grabbing that choke as quickly as he could.
Yeah, exactly. Making Gumby look good. Yes. So you don't know how the rest of it went. I
know it was 500 or a little above on the fights that actually came through, and a big underdog usually evens it all out.
Yeah, exactly. Your girl Jenna Bishop came through for you, so there you go.
That one was tight. That was a tough fight. I expected her to roll over Watanabe a lot easier than that, but she's in the semi. Oh, and we don't get credit for it either. But Shakalova got pulled into the main card, just like I was kind of hoping it would happen. Mm-hmm. She got Juliana Velasquez, which was I think if you remember when we were breaking it down, I was like, I think she could beat 4, maybe 5 people who are on the main card right now. And Velasquez was the one where I was like, maybe. So when they booked it, I was like, oh, that's actually the hardest possible fight for her other than, Talia Santos or Jenna Bishop or Liz Carmouche. So I was like, she might be able to beat Vasquez, and she did. She did handedly. So, Shakalova is the real deal.
There we go. More on her. When is round 2? Do you know? Or the semis?
I think in a couple months. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's spaced out through the whole year. It's only 3 fights, so I think we'd probably see that in the summer.
All right, more on Shakalova then. Before we dive into 155, let me remind you, if you're looking for all the SGPN's picks and podcasts in one convenient place, then you got to download our free app, the SGPN app, wherever you get your apps. All right, we kind of talked about yesterday, all the weight classes are falling apart for PFL. 155, no exception. We've already got, 4 fights today because there's no, as of this recording, there's no alternate fight announced. Thoughts on the 155 weight class? Are we missing people?
No, not really. Okay. I guess you could say one of the Pitbull brothers. I mean, they could have been in featherweight too, but one of the Pitbull brothers could have been here. And that kind of fell apart. But outside of that, no. No, it's kind of what I thought it would look like with Mads Burnell and Clay Collard were going to be in it no matter what. Brent Primus is going to be in there. Those are their guys. And then they finally decided to make use of one of their European signings that they got. And so Marc Diakiese's in there too.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you yesterday, who's going to win the middleweights? We went through it, but we didn't talk about who's going to actually win it. So we have people that listen to every episode. Tell the people who's going to win the middleweight class.
I'm going to say Rabadanov, probably, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
With I'm going to say a outsider's chance to whoever emerges victorious between Rosta and Sai. Okay. That's kind of if you're looking for a plucky underdog, whoever comes out of that fight probably is the plucky underdog to root for.
All right. There you go. Let's break down the 155s now, shall we? So, of course, we were talking about PFL 2025 World Tournament, First Round 3. They know how to name their events. They know how to do lots of good things. This is going down this Friday, Orlando, Florida, 4 p.m. Eastern start time, because you don't have to work on Friday. You can finish work early. ESPN 2 is where it's being broadcast, or DAZN in Canada. Yeah, good luck with that. Only 4 fights today, because we've had a lot of moving parts, a lot of fights falling off. So no alternate fight as of this recording. If a fight gets added, everyone will be asking Gumby who he has in it.
I think Robert Watley is one of the people who's supposed to be an alternative, because he actually dropped his CFFC belts to join PFL. So
yeah, then his fight fell through. Yeah,
was he supposed to fight Cenci?
I think so. Yeah, no, Sergio Casio. So I don't know why he wasn't put in. I don't know why he wasn't just given Primus.
Yeah, that's weird. And Casio's off now. Interesting.
Yeah.
Casio's fun as hell to watch. That would have been a fun fight.
Yeah, as I like to say, PFL does stuff. We can't figure out how their brains work, but we can figure out how to get you winners here. Well, Gumby can. I only set them up. We're talking about Brent Primus versus Vinicius Cenci, US versus Brazil. This is the first bout of the 155-pound lightweight tournament. Let's break her down, shall we? Cenci first. No odds yet as of this recording. Sorry. Cenci's Chambino. So little chamb. What's a champ?
I don't know.
I looked it up. I could not find anything except for some kind of food thing in Brazil.
Okay.
So anyhow, he's little champ.
Little food thing.
Little food thing. There's our title for the episode. Thank you. Now my work is done now. All right. Cenci's 8-2, 1 knockout, 6 submissions. He's been submitted twice. Short notice. This is his short notice debut in the PFL. He's won 8 of his last 9, including his last bout. He's not fought low since March 2024. He went 0-1 in Contender Series. Do you remember who he fought, Gumby?
Sam Patterson.
There you go. Good job. He's not lost since September 2022. I think that was the Contender Series fight, actually. Used to fight at 170, 10 years younger than Primus, 3 inches of height on him, an inch of reach. So younger and bigger. Primus is 15-4 with 1 no contest, 2 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 3-1 in PFL. He's won 3 of 4, and he's gone 4-1 with 1 no contest over his last 6. TKO loss in his last bout. 10-3 with 1 no contest in Bellator. Was the champion there. Used to fight at 170. 2010 pro MMA debut. 1-1 as a pro grappler.
He won that championship in the most hilarious of ways.
He sure did.
Remember that?
Yep. Yeah. He made Mike Chandler's foot stop working.
Well, he kicked his foot, and then they were like, "Prove that your foot is working fine."
That was great.
He stood up off the stool to show his foot was working fine.
Yep.
First of all, it wasn't working fine. It was
still
kind of damaged. But then when he went to go sit back down, his cornerman had already moved his stool
Yep.
And the ref thought he was like falling just to fall and called off the fight. It was very funny in like the most Michael Chandler ass way.
Oh, yes.
Fight.
Yes.
We still haven't talked about him getting absolutely obliterated. We'll have to talk about that at some point in time.
It looked like, sorry to interrupt. It looked like Pimblett was trying to do what Primus did to him, kill his leg, with those hard leg kicks. He did
clearly watched enough film. And also, I just got to, I know we've taken some guff recently on the podcast for talking about men's physiques more than we ought to. Patty looked really, really in shape, right? Like exceptionally strong. Because usually he like gets back into fighting shape, but he looked like physically strong. And it was a nightmare for Chandler. Like Chandler wrestled him a little bit in that first round, but like he could not find his way to the inside after that. I don't know how any judges gave Michael Chandler any of those rounds. Did you know 2 of them gave him the first?
No.
He landed 3 significant strikes and won the first round. Man, Pimblett just dominated that thing. So
sure did.
And
people won't mind. People don't mind us talking about, because people love Paddy Pimblett, so that's fine.
Yeah, he does seem like to be a big favorite. I mean, like let's call him polarizing, shall we?
Yeah, all right, who are you picking?
Brent Primus. My guess is -300, -400, somewhere in that range. Cenci is like, you mentioned it. He's got a ton of wins by submission. He's a submission specialist. That's what he wants to do. But also, like, he went to the ground with Sam Patterson and got tooled on and immediately rear naked choked, right? And some of that was he was getting beat up on the feet. But, like, he got beat up on the feet and then, like, couldn't figure out a way to get his grappling game going against Sam Patterson. And no offense to Sam Patterson, he's not Brent Primus when it comes to grappling. Brent Primus is a guy who got was it a gogoplata that he had? He had a gogoplata finish in the when he was in Bellator. And so like he's just crafty off his back, crafty on top. You know, his lone losses have been to, you know, like big, strong Russian dudes, right? Like, did you say he's on back-to-back or no? He's off of
just one.
Yeah. And so like, you know, maybe that helps draw the number down a little bit, but the fact of the matter is here, you have a guy who's very, very well versed in his grappling and very well versed in his top control in terms of jiu-jitsu versus a guy who's going to go for some like crazy submissions and Cenci. So I'll take Brent Primus here all day. Probably a pretty decent parlay piece too.
Throw them in a parlay, as we like to say. All right, before we dive into more winning plays, Edge Boost. Ever had your deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet? Ever need to cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables, but hit your ATM limit? Edge Boost has your back. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds, making it easier to move money when and where you need it without the delays that come with traditional banks. For you high rollers, you can move up to $250,000 a day on your Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. This works 24/7 for instant deposits. Never wait for a wire to clear again. Gets better. Every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account, you earn cashback rewards of up to 0.5%. All this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. Edge Boost is a debit account that makes it easy to get started with no credit checks, no minimum balance, and no usage fees. Simply verify your identity and you're ready to go. Finally, Edge Boost has a suite of responsible gambling tools to help you manage your bankroll and make informed decisions. What are you waiting for? Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Sign up for Edge Boost today. And we are brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the Masters this past weekend that I made a killing on, plus props for every game. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposits, and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Get in on those Al Horford playoff prop lines, and of course your PFL lines over at mybookie.ag. And when you do go there, make sure you use our promo code MMASGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code MMASGPN. And we're moving right along in 155s, moving up the card. Clay Collard versus Alfie Davis, US versus England. A lot of English fighters on this card fighting Americans. 3 5-minute rounds. We'll tell you about Davis first. He's the Axeman. 17-5-1, 5 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been submitted once. 0-1 in PFL, 3-1 over his last 4. He got submitted in his last bout. 8-1-1 in Bellator. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our merch, get our gear, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Use fight at 170, 2014 Pro MMA debut for Davis. Collard is Cassius Clay Collard, 25-14 with 1 no contest, 12 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted 4 times. 7-6 in the PFL. He's been around a while. He's lost 2 straight and only won 1 of his last 5. He went 1-3 in the UFC. He as well has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our gear, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Used to fight at 145 and 170. 2011 Pro MMA debut. 8-5-3 as a pro boxer. A year younger than Davis. 3 inches of reach on him.
I think Collard probably going to be the favorite here. You know, he's kind of more of the, you know, known quantity. He's the person people know more about at this point in time. But Davis has got the record that could potentially keep these lines pretty close. So I'm going to say like -155 on Clay Collard and like plus $130 on Alfie Davis. And I'm going to go Clay Collard. I think for me, you know, I went back and I watched some Alfie Davis tape because, you know, I know his game and I know mostly what he's about and I know how he wants to fight, but I like needed to see if there was anything in his game that like stood out as being particularly bad or, you know, easy. And like the big piece for me is just like how hittable he is after he's entered the boxing pocket. You know, like once he's closed the range and started to throw, he's there to be hit. And the thing about boxing Clay Collard is like, I mean, that's all Clay Collard wants to do anyway, right? Like he just wants to be in a boxing match. So much so that for a while he was in boxing matches exclusively. And so I think Alfie Davis is going to close the distance, throw his shots. And when he does, I think you're going to see Clay Collard tag him on the return, start to back him up a bunch. And when he does back him up a bunch too, like Alfie Davis exits with his chin up. You know, sometimes it's a lean, but sometimes it's just like oh hell, hey, these punches are coming my way. And he like backs up with his chin up in the air. And like both of those are like really bad signs against a guy like Clay Collard, who boxes the way he does with like short, compact strikes. He's quick to the target. He throws in combinations because like, you can't be a boxer who just throws one punch all the time. Like some of these MMA fighters do. But like, Collard is, he's a legit boxer. So like, I think we're going to see that. And also like, I've said this about Collard for a while now. Like, he's always been a really exceptionally good boxer, but like when he chooses to offensively wrestle, he's actually not bad there either. So like, I think he kind of has that ace in the hole, although we haven't seen it since he's been over here in PFL, or Bellator or whatever he's in. But like,
whatever this is called,
whatever the hell this organization was called. I think he originally signed with PFL, so I don't think he was ever Bellator, but yeah, I think Clay Collard should be able to tag him enough that he wins the decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he put him away. So yeah, give me Clay Collard as a slight fave.
All right, Collard it is. All right, moving right along to the next bout for 155. Mads Burnell. He's not from Sweden. He's from Denmark. Yes. Denmark. He is up against, as I messed up my screen here, Mads Burnell against JJ Wilson. He is from Australia or New Zealand. I think he's Australia. New Zealand, sorry.
So he's the Maori kid, right?
Yes, the Maori kid. Yep. So New Zealand versus Denmark, a rare combination here for us. We'll tell you about the Maori kid first. That would be Wilson. He's 10-1, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. This is his PFL debut. He has won 2 straight fights. However, he's not fought since September 2023. He's not lost since March 2022. He went 9-1 in Bellator, RIP. Used to fight at 145, missed weight twice at that weight class, but he should be good at 155, you would hope. 0-2 as a pro grappler, 3 years younger than Burnell, 3 inches taller, 6 inches reach on him. Mads Burnell's 20-6, 1 knockout, 9 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted 3 times. 2-1 in the PFL. He's won 2 straight and 4 of 5. He went 5-2 in Bellator, 1-2 in the UFC. He was a Cage Warriors champion and a regional champ. He's fought at 145, 2013 pro MMA debut for him.
So I think JJ Wilson will probably be the favorite here, just based on the fact that his record's way better and he's kind of like got the fun new guy hype on him, right? So I'm gonna say like -190 on Wilson plus $160 on Burnell. And I'm gonna go Burnell. I think he's probably gonna be an underdog here, but I'm gonna go Mads Burnell. The reason is like I think there's maybe just like a little bit too much hype on JJ Wilson in terms of like his grappling abilities, right? Because he's somebody who does grappling competitions outside of MMA. Like I know he grappled one of the Tackets. I want to say it was William Tackett. So he grappled one of the Tackets. He didn't win, but he looked semi-competitive in that fight. So like, he's one of those guys who everybody's like, oh, he's like one of the new age grapplers, but also like he sometimes gets suckered into just like throwing his hands for far longer than he ought to. And that's like not a good thing. And then in addition to that too, like Mads Burnell is a tough wrestler. He's always been kind of that guy who's just been able to march you forward and get in your face and just be like gritty and force you to work off your back foot. And he's so tough when it comes to that. He's got some pretty nice wrestling when he chooses to mix it in. We saw him beat, it was Clay Collard he beat recently, right? Clay Collard and Elvin Espinoza last year he beat. So like he's got the high level of competition, whereas like, you go through JJ Wilson, like I know he beat Barnwee in that last fight, but like outside of that, does he have like a signature win? Like Barnwee might be the only guy who you've like heard of that he's got a win over. And so for me, like I just love like the gritty veteran here, knowing the type of fight that Mads Burnell brings all the time, knowing that JJ Wilson hasn't really been forced to fight one of those kinds of fights where, you got to see if you got that dog in you. And Mads Burnell always finds out if you got that dog in you. So I'm going to go Mads Burnell in this one.
Mads Burnell has a Mads dog in him for sure.
Yeah.
You already gave me a title, so I can't use that. Sorry. I have to use Gumby's title. All right. Before we get to the last 155 belt, let me announce that it is time for Gumby's bonus underdog pick'em plays. First, underdog pick'em, you can play any sport and win up to 100 times your money. What sport are we playing today?
The play-ins for the NBA. Yep. On Wednesday, the Bulls are going to get their play-in game. And I'm going to take the higher than on Josh Giddey's assists. He's been sitting out a few games with a supposedly a forearm issue, but I call it having clinched the spot you already know that you're going to have in the playoff or play-in issue. So, like, we know he's going to be well rested. His dimes numbers have been way up late in the season. So give me the higher than on Josh Giddey's assists.
All right. It's going to be nice. Players not sitting out anymore. It's going to be much easier for me making my NBA
handicap stuff.
Yeah, handicaps. Yeah.
Yeah, the first bucket market has been a nightmare.
Yeah. Just who's going to play? All right. So take Gumby's advice and go over to Underdog Fantasy and sign up with the code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code MMASGPN. Win-win. Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Rhythm is now live for Major League Baseball. Plus, they got models for NBA and golf. Picks so good it feels like cheating. Building your own model is simple and easy. They have Al Horford models there for you. Check it all out. And they also have some amazing deals going on right now. 25% off monthly subscriptions with the promo code SGPN25 and 50% off annual subscriptions with promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50 or both. Do both. Give one as a gift. All right. I mean, lock you in for Burnell. Locked. You're locked in. All right. We are to our last bout, and that is 155, obviously. Gadzhi, Rabadanov, not surprisingly, from Russia. Marc Diakiese from England. 3 5-minute rounds, and let's break her down. Diakiese is bone crusher. He's 18-7, 6 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been submitted 3 times. This is his debut in PFL. He's won 2 straight. Before that, he lost 2 straight. Before that, he won 2 straight. So things come in twos for him. 1-0 in Bellator, 8-7 in the UFC. Regional champion. He's fight at 20. Has started fighting since. Let me try that again. Started fighting professionally at 2013. 0-1 as a pro grappler. 2 inches height, 2 inches reach over Rabadanov. Rabadanov is 24-4-2, 8 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. 5-0 in PFL. 2024 champion. Back for more. He got a pay cut, though, sadly. He's won 10 straight, 2 straight via TKO. He's not lost since December 2020. He went 5-0 in Bellator. He's fed at 145 and 170. 2013 pro MMA debut for him as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rabadanov. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess, maybe the UFC pedigree of Diakiese brings him down to, I don't know, maybe plus 200. Instead of something too high. You might get Rabadanov at like negative 230. But I'm going to go Rabadanov here. Like his hands are just so explosive. You know, what he did to Brent Primus in that last fight, like ridiculous how hard he hit him. And like, you know, Primus is a guy who comes with a grappling first approach. And like, not for anything, Diakiese kind of used that later in his career too, where he started to, mix his wrestling in more, or his, the end of his UFC career, so to speak. And so like, I think if he goes in and boxes, he's just going to get dropped. And I think if he goes in and wrestles, like it didn't work for Primus, why would it work for him? And like Diakiese also has some real ugly losses that I had forgotten about recently, notably losing to Michael Johnson, and I know that was like 2 or 3 years ago, but it was only also 3 fights ago. He's 1-2 in his last 3, and one of those losses is Michael Johnson. So it's like a mixture of layoff and like, ooh, that's what happened when you were fighting. So like I'm kind of hoping his name value just pulls the number down here. There is the whole Russian side of things where his name ends at OV, and that tends to let the books juice that number up a little higher. But I still think we can get a playable number here on Gadzhi Rabadanov. And if you want to make it sweeter, Rabadanov via KO is probably the right move. It seems like he's knocking everybody out now. He won the PFL last time. They somehow convinced him to do it for half as much money this time. So hopefully he gets it started on the right way here.
Still more than he would make in the UFC, though, sadly. So
probably.
Yeah, he's not making $500,000 in a year in the UFC right at the gate, at least. Tapology says no, you will not get a good line. They have him at 92%, 92% on Rabadanov. So, which is it doesn't mean necessarily it's going to be right, but yeah.
What did they have? Not that I'm a Tapology dude, but like, what did they have Burnell and JJ Wilson percentage?
Burnell 31%. Burnell.
Okay. That's about what I thought. Yeah, that's why he would be like a plus 150 dog. Yep. Okay.
Yep. All right. Here are Gummy's picks: Rabadanov, Burnell, Collard, and Primus. And if they had another alternate bout, hit them up either at in our Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, or on our YouTube comment section, MMA Gambling Podcast, or on Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Reeland.
Can I just make one quick request on the YouTube? If you're in this YouTube video and you're like, hey, they added an alternate bout, and I'd really like to know his thoughts on it, would you just check the comments already?
Oh, God, yes.
I think I answered how I felt about one new bout that showed up 9 different times last week.
Did.
I just started copying and pasting, to be frank with you. Because I was like, I've already done this. So just double check if it's already out there. Yeah. It doesn't take that long to do that. No. We don't have that many comments underneath.
Yeah, it's a good point. It was the same question over and over and over. All right. So that would be the YouTube. And then I told you the Twitter. I told you Instagram, you can hit me up at Jeff Fox Writer. You can check out my Substack at moneymma.substack.com. You can check out Gumby's other podcast where he interviews interesting people in the MMA world. That would be Top Turtle. And this week, who are the interesting people?
Cheyenne Bowers and Christian Natividad.
Excellent. So check that out. And of course, sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. All right, Gumby, get us out of here.
All right, I'm Dana Gumby Freeland. He's the little food thing, Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.